The CEO had built her empire on precision, discipline, and a belief that nothing meaningful happened without a reason. So when she noticed Daniel, quiet, punctual, always leaving exactly at 5:30, breaking his routine 3 nights in a row, curiosity turned into suspicion. Daniel was one of her most reliable employees, a single father who never stayed late, never socialized, never complained. But lately, he had been lingering just a bit longer, his eyes tired, his focus drifting. And then, without fail, he would rush out as if something far more important was waiting for him beyond the glass doors of the corporate tower. That was the part that bothered her. People didn't change patterns without a reason. And she needed to know why. That evening, she made a decision she never thought she would. She followed him. Keeping a careful distance, she watched as Daniel exited the building, skipping the usual bus stop and instead walking several blocks into a quieter, older part of the city. The polished skyline gave way to dim streetlights, small shops, and worn-down buildings that whispered stories of struggle. She stayed in her car, her grip tightening slightly on the steering wheel as she watched him stop in front of a modest community center. There were no flashy signs, no indication of anything special, just a faint glow from inside and the muffled sound of children's voices. Daniel stepped inside. For a moment, she hesitated. This wasn't part of her world. This wasn't boardrooms and contracts and million-dollar decisions. But something pulled her forward. She stepped out of the car and quietly approached the entrance, her heels softer against the pavement than they had ever been before. Through the slightly open door, she saw him, and what she saw didn't make sense at first. Daniel wasn't just visiting. He was kneeling on the floor, surrounded by children. Some were laughing. Some were shy. One little girl clung to him as if he were her entire world. And Daniel, this reserved, almost invisible employee, was smiling in a way she had never seen before. It wasn't the polite smile he wore at work. It was real. Warm. Alive. She stepped inside quietly, unnoticed. Okay, Daniel said gently, holding up his hands as the kids crowded around him. One at a time, I can't fix everything at once. Mr. Daniel, my toy broke. Mr. Daniel, she took my crayons. Mr. Daniel, will you read the story again? The CEO stood frozen. This wasn't just a visit. This was his second life. A woman approached her, noticing her confusion. First time here, she asked softly. Yes. I didn't know this place existed, the CEO replied, her voice quieter than usual. It's a small after-hours care center, the woman explained. For kids whose parents work late, or sometimes don't come back at all. The CEO's chest tightened. And him, she asked, glancing at Daniel. The CEO swallowed hard. This man, this employee she barely noticed beyond performance reports, was doing more after hours than most people did in a lifetime. And he never spoke about it. Never asked for recognition. Never used it to gain anything. She stepped forward before she could stop herself. Daniel. He turned, startled. His expression shifted quickly from warmth to concern. Ma'am. What are you doing here? She hesitated. For the first time in years, she didn't have a prepared answer. I followed you. The room fell slightly quieter. Daniel straightened, clearly uncomfortable. If this is about my performance. It's not, she interrupted softly. I thought something was wrong. And now, he asked. She looked around the room. At the children. At the worn walls filled with drawings and hope. At the quiet strength of a man who chose to give when no one was watching. Now I think I was wrong about what matters. Daniel said nothing. You never told anyone, she continued. Why? He shrugged slightly. Because it's not something you do for attention. The simplicity of his answer hit harder than any boardroom argument she had ever faced. That night changed everything. Within weeks, the company launched a community initiative, funding centers like this, providing resources, creating support systems for working parents. But more importantly, the CEO herself changed. She started seeing people, not just employees. And Daniel. He didn't change at all. He still showed up on time. Still left at 5:30. still spent his evenings where he felt he was needed most. But now, someone finally understood. And maybe that was the real difference. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories aren't the ones people tell, they're the ones quietly lived when no one is watching. If this story made you feel something, don't forget to subscribe, because the world needs more stories that remind us what truly matters.